Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today's Friday, November 3rd. It is 6:21 right now. Market's gonna open in about 9 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up this room real quick and we'll get started shortly with our analysis for today. It's got a couple of things here to update and we should be good to go. All right, looks good. More things here. All right, looks like we are good to go. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. Set there. So we are good to go. All right, so I'll get a few moments for people to make their way in. And as people join in, I'm going to start market liquidity over here on the liquidity chart. So I'll start over here on the daily time frame. Start market liquidity over here. A lot of these levels have not been tested in quite some time. It looks like price is starting to climb to the upside. Going down to the 1 hour. Sitting right there. Going down to the 30-minute. Changes to red. Going down to the 15-minute. Going down to the 10-minute. All right, and it looks like that's it. So let's go down to the 1 minute over here. We've marked up all of the liquidity here on open. As you can see, NFP news pretty much knocked out all of the previous liquidity. Closest liquidity above is going to be here at 34,147. So this is going to be the first level of liquidity right here. And down below, closest level of liquidity is going to be right here at 33,906. All right, so we got liquidity marked up right there. Looks like half of you guys are here so far. So good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, November 3rd. Happy Friday, everyone. 6:25 right now. Market's gonna open in about 5 minutes. We've marked up liquidity over here on the liquidity chart, so we're pretty much good to go for now so far. I'll mark up the time over here for the clean chart. Go over to our main chart. Let's take this off for now. Let's see who's here so far. Morning, Kevin. Morning, Lisa. Morning, Kip. Yeah, Kip said retail and weekly changes are crazy right now for retail sentiment. Morning, Daniel. Morning, Maria. Morning, Andreas. Morning, everybody. Yeah, huge push right here based off the NFP news. No surprise there. You guys can see retail sentiment is now on the opposite side. It's definitely like what Kip just said. It's been shifting extremely heavily. Looking over here at the news calendar, we had news at 5 o'clock, or sorry, 5:30. So 5:30, 6:45, and 7. So 5:30, obviously you already know which candle is that, the huge one right here. 5:30, 6:45, and 7. So we got news marked up right there. Let's take a look at the overall bias. Our retail sentiment is currently 59% long, or sorry, 59% short. It's opposite now. This indicates that 59% of retail traders are currently selling. They're trying to catch the top over here. I think price might come down slightly, but then it's going to continue climbing. Obviously they're not going to make it easy for majority of traders to win here. So I think price will probably continue climbing higher. So today's overall bias, retail sentiment is currently, we'll say bullish neutral, 59% short. We'll see if it changes. Fundamental bias, see where that's at right now. Fundamental bias is currently 176 points in the green. So it's currently bullish right now, plus 150 points. We'll just round it. Short-term technicals, I can already say that short-term is bullish. Long-term technicals, I can already say this is bullish as well. So let's take a look at those real quick. Looking over here at the short term, you can see the 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute prices above the pivots. The trend meter is green, pivots are angling up. Short term technicals are currently bullish. Long-term technicals are also bullish here. You can see the 30-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour time frames, prices above the pivots. Trend meter is green, pivots are angling up. So with that said, we have a definite bullish bias for today. This doesn't necessarily mean this doesn't necessarily mean to just take every buy though. Just want to make that clear, guys. We do have a bullish bias, but it doesn't mean take every buys, right? You got to keep in mind that that it's overextended. It's been pushing up super heavily since news here, so price can easily come back down to retrace and correct. But I think eventually price will correct back up and continue climbing. On open here, we might get a correction, and then price might come all the way back up. So just keep that in mind, guys. Price is currently overextended it's not overextended yet, but we're getting close to market open right here. So we'll see where this ends up going. So I have another chart here that I kind of use just for overextension. I use it on the higher time frames. It's not necessary. I just kind of play around with it to see if and when I think price is overextended a bit. It's a new indicator I'm kind of playing with right now. All right, so market is about to open right here. We'll see if it shoots right back up or if it continues coming all the way back down. Probably want to be careful here on open though, guys, because a lot of uncertainty with regard to direction of price. So there goes opening price right there. There goes opening price. I'm going to go here to the clean chart. Now I'm just going to put this on every chart pretty much, even our high-low scalp V2 charts. It's a good price point to have an idea. So price does push away from it. You can probably see the correction back to that point. So, all right, price is continuing to drop here slightly, and then we might get that correction back to the upside. I'll continue looking over here. This usually doesn't give a good, indication until after the first hour. So in the next 30 minutes at 7 o'clock, I'll see if this here, says price is overextended in either direction. Because if this continues to drop from 6:30 to 7, I think the correction will happen. So I actually want that to happen. I want price to come down from now until 7 o'clock, and then I want to see the correction back up. I think at 7 o'clock, you might see some sort of turnaround. That's one pattern I've been noticing lately. Not on the lower time frames, but on the higher time frame. So I've been, like I mentioned, I have a 1 hour chart over here. And if you look at the chart, whenever it hits like 7 o'clock, you see how price kind of pushes up and it's overextended right here. It comes right back down. So that's one pattern that I started to notice lately. Like again, right here, price comes down at 7 o'clock and then it shoots right back up. This is 7 o'clock right here. It's like a V1 pattern at 7 o'clock. And again, like right here. So we'll see. I mean, I'm just using this as a confluence. This isn't actual, it's not no strategy. It's just something that I'm using to see if there's anything that I can probably use here to our advantage. But so we currently have a sell signal right here, guys. If you get 2 red candles, there is going to be a breakout V2 for a sell, vice versa. If you get a buy signal here and 2 red candles after that, it's going to be a momentum counter scalp. So if you're looking for those 2 strategies that we're currently testing on open, that could be it. However, right now, there's nothing for us to take here at the moment. There's just too much going on. I was kind of hoping to see some sort of reaction to the NFP news earlier this morning. The NFP news this morning was pretty mixed. Non-farm payroll was negative. Unemployment rate was up. It's just a lot of mixed news here. So there's not really much of a specific direction to be looking at. It's just kind of mixed at the moment. So we'll see. Yeah, price is like pretty much doing nothing right now. You can see here it's kind of just bouncing in between the opening price right here. I'll go to the clean chart. I'll mark up the zones, like temporary zones. These zones happen pre-market, so I'm not really going to keep them, but we'll just mark up these zones for now so that you guys can kind of see where price is currently ranging from. It's in a pretty obvious range right now. So here's a clean chart. Price is now starting to come down slightly, but you can see where price just kind of sits in between opening price. This is typically where you don't want price to be, around opening price. There's 2 places where you don't want price to be. You don't want price to be around opening price, and you don't want price to be ranging. They typically align with each other. So if price is around opening price and it just keeps bouncing from that area, it's gonna be in a range, right? And then if price is ranging, it's typically going to keep coming back to opening price. So they kind of go hand in hand with each other. So areas that you typically don't want to trade in would be opening price. And whenever price is in a range, you want to look for price to break out of that range and look for it to continue in that direction. So for example, we marked up the zone over here, right? You see where price bounced from? It bounced directly off the lower range that I drew earlier. So just keep that in mind, guys. It's pretty easy to remember because you'll see the blue line. Whenever price is near the blue line, you probably want to avoid it. You want price to push away from it and continue pushing away from it, right? Doesn't matter if it goes up, doesn't matter if it goes down. You just want it to be away from this blue line. Because if it doesn't, it's just going to keep ranging between this area. So you'll always see this here. It typically happens. You'll see price just go back and forth, and you don't want to trade there because you can either get lucky or you'll get very unlucky. And today's not the day to get lucky. It's NFP. It's literally NFP today. It's the end of NFP week. It's been ranging all week. Not exactly the best market to trade in. I was talking to Maddie about this yesterday. I think after this week, the market will start to move directional. I just realized we're in November. If you guys have, we have this talk every single year. If you guys have traded with me around October, November, I always give you guys the analysis that market tends to be bullish towards the end of the year. So I think, even though we were waiting for price to come down, now that we're getting close to the end of the year, if you've ever done historical data on US30, you'll see that price typically goes bullish around, November up until December. So if you were to put this on, say, like the weekly time frame, and you were to zoom out and you just look at price whenever price hits like November. So like if you go to November of like, say, last year, right? This is November 2022. You can see how price kind of makes its way up from this area there. And then same thing, if you go back to November or November of 2021. You can see that price gets bullish towards the end of the year. So we'll see. Um, we'll see what happens moving forward. So yeah, Daniel just mentioned the breakout did not play through today. Completely fine. I think the candle here was too big to begin with anyway. So let's see, this candle over here was okay. It was a decent candle, but yeah, definitely not one that I would have taken. So we'll mark that up and then we'll put this on the spreadsheet. Thanks, Daniel, for letting us know. So let me put this over here. Obviously, it's not a trade I take. The breakout worked like once this week for the breakout V2. So that was the entry right there. It came up at 634. This would be a day where you definitely wouldn't take the breakout because if you guys have followed my analysis on that specific strategy, I mentioned that whenever there's high impact news before pre-market, it's usually a time not to take the trade. Today's NFP, it's a definite day not to take the trade because you can't like put high impact manipulation without NFP, right? So today, NFP day, extreme movement, pre-market. Yeah, that's why I'm waiting for the market to kind of stabilize a bit before I look for any entries here. I'm just being patient, guys. Like I mentioned, you only need to take like one trade a day. If you can take one trade a day and be consistent, that's all that really matters. So yeah, no entry. Well, there's an entry right there for the breakout V2. There's no entry for a momentum counter scalp just yet. There's nothing here for a momentum pullback scalp yet either. I'll put the criteria up here for the pullback scalp if you guys want it. Hey, Kedi, morning. Morning, Kevin. Morning, David. Morning, everybody. All right, so we got this marked up right here. Markup opening time. It's right there. I look scalp V2. All right, so we got price pretty much ranging around this area right here. Again, it's still not doing anything. You guys can see where price keeps rejecting off that lower zone right there that I marked up. This is why it's important that you guys have my high-low indicator. The high-low indicator makes such a huge difference. Like I didn't have to think. I just drew the zone right here where the lower low was, and you can see exactly where price is bouncing from, right? It's a huge help, especially if you're scalping, because you don't have time to really analyze where these support levels are and stuff. So we got the bottom right there. You can see price is just consolidating within this area. Again, not a good area to trade in. So we're not really looking to force anything or take anything here in general. We're just waiting. We don't even have a trend right now. That's really confirmed because price is kind of just sitting down here. So, all right, price is sitting down there. There's no liquidity over here just yet. And again, we're just waiting. The thing that's kind of tripping me out a little bit is the low volatility in the fall. The volatility is really, really low. And we also have news coming up in about 5 minutes. So high impact news in 5 minutes, guys. Probably want to sit out and just wait for this news event will probably push price in a direction. So hopefully that's what happens here. We have S&P Global Composite PMI, S&P Global Services PMI. It's very high impact news coming up right now in about 4 minutes. So just sit tight and wait for that to play through. Thanks, Randy and Maddie, for reminding us. Since there's no entries right here, I'm just gonna respond. Let's see. Shao said, "Seems you are only trading futures because I was in your live session today. Price is different." Guys, so I just get this question from people like Hishao over here is saying that price is different between MT4. It's not MT4. Price is different from broker to broker. It doesn't matter if you're using MT4 or any other broker here. If you type in US30 and you look at any of these US30s, each broker is going to have different data, guys. So it's a real easy concept to grasp, but I feel like a lot of people just don't get that. Why price is different. Price is always going to be different. From broker to broker, unless you're using a legitimate regulated broker, right? If you're using a futures broker and they're using the futures data from the exchange, the numbers are going to be the same. You can't, those numbers will always be the same. But if you guys are using FTMO or whatever broker you're using, it doesn't matter. Like, I feel like a lot of people make a huge deal out of that, but that's something that you guys can't change. So just keep that in mind, guys. You know, I always hear people get like a big fit about how price is different. You can keep complaining about price being different and be mad about it, but it's not going to do anything, right? Each broker is slightly different, and they set their own pricing. They set their own spreads. They set their own pricing. I don't have control over that stuff. So, I mean, if that's something that's like a really big problem for a lot of people, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you guys can fix that, because you can't fix it. I mean, you can never tell a broker to have the same pricing as like the actual raw pricing. The only way to have the raw pricing is if you trade the actual, you know, regulated asset and you trade it on that specific broker. So just keep that in mind, guys, in the future, because I get that question a lot where people say that the pricing is different, but it's always going to be different. It's never going to be the same unless you're trading on that specific broker and you are using that specific data to execute your trades. All right, so let's see if there's anything else here that I'm missing. Here, yeah, I'm not. All right, guys, so we have currently a buy signal right here. If you get two red candles that come up, that's going to be the momentum counter scalp entry. However, we do have price currently coming up to news right here. So don't worry, guys. You guys are not missing out on anything right here. I don't really recommend anybody take any trades here to begin with, because it's, you know, it's right at high impact news right here. All right, other than that, I think that's it for right now. We're just going to wait for this news here to pass. Yeah, Maria said there was a high level momentum scalp that came up right here, but it was right at news. Yeah, just lower low right there. Buy signal broken close past pivots 1 and 2. It's kind of a big candle, but I think it's still would meet criteria. Yeah, met criteria, would have hit TP right there too. But we are right at news. So this is the momentum counter scalp right here, guys. I wouldn't recommend taking it, but this is the entry right here if it closes red. You know, it's right on the news candle, so I definitely would not recommend taking it, but that would be the entry right there if and when it closes. All right, here goes the news candle. So this would have been the entry for the momentum counter scalp. Obviously, I didn't take the trade. I don't plan on taking it. I just marked it up for you guys right there. So I would hit TP. That'd be the momentum counter scalp right there. I'm going to go ahead and just take a screenshot of that so I could add it to the spreadsheet. Obviously not a trade I would have taken, but it's good to have it on the spreadsheet. 645. So the momentum counter scalp actually hit every single day this week. So if anybody took any of the momentum counter scalps, they hit pretty much every single day this week. It's for a sell, win, 100, 1. Yeah, Williams is smiling. This is one of Williams' favorite strategies, the momentum counter scalp. It's a little bit of a risky strategy because you can see it was counter scalp trading or counter trend trading. It was for a sell, but the trend was bullish. It still hit though. So yeah, you guys can see the strategy here pretty much hit literally every day this week. So if you guys took any of the entries for the momentum counter scalp, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every single day, full TP. So yeah, exactly. Williams said, didn't take it right now because news, safety first. Yeah, and I agree. I wouldn't risk it. You know, for 100 pips, it's a pretty big risk to be trading news. So it could easily spike in either direction. The news was negative, but it didn't really have a huge impact on the price movement. Yeah, news was negative here for S&P Global Composite PMI and Global Services PMI. They're basically inflation news. Typical inflation news that gets released every NFP, both negative. Not super negative, but they were negative, of course. They're forecasting to be a bit higher, but both negative nonetheless. So, all right, there goes the two strategies that we are testing. Breakout V2 did not hit. Momentum counter scalp did hit. We'll now look for our official entries, which would be the momentum pullback scalp and the high-low scalp V2. There's no real direction right now, so it's going to be a bit difficult for us to start looking for entries. We're going to have to be a little more careful and a little more patient waiting for opportunities here. The trend is still technically bullish, so if price does climb back up, then great. But you can see where price is currently at right here in this range. It's not good. So you can see over here, I mentioned earlier, the area that you probably want to avoid would be opening price, right? And look where price is at, opening price. It hasn't really pushed away from it. So it just pretty much has been ranging within this area for like the past 30 minutes, which is not a good area to trade in, of course. There's no new zones yet. So as new zones become apparent, I'll draw them up as the range starts to establish. But right now, currently, there's not really any zones here to really mark up and follow at the moment. So we'll see. Yeah, Rashida said it's heading towards the fair value gap from the news this morning. Gotcha. Where is it at, Rashida? Is it above or below? Just curious. I'm assuming it's down here, right? I forgot how that analysis worked. All right, price is starting to climb up right here. So let's see. Gotcha. Yeah, so that's what I figured. Yeah, Rashida said below if it breaks that zone you have. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because it just gapped up right here. So if it comes back down to pretty much fill the gap, it'll be around that area. If it comes down, I think price today is going to be bullish though. So in my opinion, I think price is going to be bullish. The main reason why I think it's going to be bullish is because the overall bias is clearly bullish, right? Retail sentiment is bullish, fundamental bias is bullish, short-term, long-term is bullish. I think it might come down temporarily to like lure in some more sellers, but I think eventually it's going to be bullish. So it might fake out and come down for a bit to that, fair value gap that Rishi was mentioning. And then it might just consolidate here a bit and then just correct right back up. So we'll see. I mean, today's like a perfect day for fake outs. It's Friday, it's NFP. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. We can even check out CNBC real quick if there's any new news. And it's crazy. So I just realized that we have two wars going on concurrently, right? We have we have the Russia-Ukraine war, and then we have the war in the Middle East going on side to side. And the US is we have our hands in both pockets. So it's kind of and SBF just got convicted for fraud on all charges. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that's going to affect the market. I just want to be careful, guys, because this ranging market it's tough because you don't know where price is going to go. Like again, for example, as I mentioned, this price is going to keep ranging within this opening price right here, and you can see where it's going. It's coming right back down. So it's not a good area to trade in right here. You want price to like break out of it. You want price to break above and continue climbing, or you want it to break below. But realistically, this is not a good area to be trading in right now. I think we have another news event coming up at 7 o'clock. Yeah. So at 7 o'clock, we have some more inflation news. So a bunch of inflation news here. One high impact, basically services PMI. I'm forecasting it to be negative. Pretty much all of the other news here was negative, so I'm expecting this to be negative as well. So the previous inflation news right here was negative, and I'm expecting these to be negative just as well. I mean, we'll see what happens, but yeah, it's gonna be a tough call. Wouldn't even matter because there's no buy signal here, so there's no entry for a momentum pullback scalp just yet. Also looking over here at the high-low scalp V2, it's not looking like a good setup here because you can see how price is ranging within this area. And if you guys remember from before, I mentioned, whenever these overlap like this, it's probably a good idea to just skip these entries if they come up and just wait for another opportunity to come up. Because this range here is where we lost that trade last Monday or 2 Mondays ago, I think. So I think it was like our first loss in like 2 months. It was when price was ranging like this. So we learned our lesson from that. And now we know not to trade when price is ranging, at least not when it's ranging super heavily. It's okay when price just starts to range, but when it starts to range super heavily, definitely want to skip. And you can see prices again right here, just stuck at opening price. You can just keep looking at this blue line right here. This blue line is going to be the baseline. So until it pushes away from here, there's probably not going to be any reason to look for any opportunities for trades. All right, news is coming up in about 8 minutes, guys. Hopefully that news will actually push price. The news earlier didn't really push price anywhere. So hopefully this one over here will have some oomph to it and actually push it out of this range. Yeah, Randy also confirmed no trend. Pivots are still too close. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Rashida and Randy here mentioned that the pivots are just too close. They're just kind of jumbled up on each other. I mean, you can see here that it's still bullish. You can see the red pivots below all the other pivots. So it's trying to climb, but it's not really having the best luck right now. All right, so we might have an entry here for a momentum pullback scalp. Not yet, but we need price to push it a bit higher. So you guys can see where price is currently at right now. Basically need price to push up above these zones here. Come back for the retest. Push up higher, and that's where your entry would be. But again, we need price to push it a bit higher. It's too low right now. We need price to be above this, at least above this line right here, 34,100. Once we get that, we can start looking for, some sort of possibility of entry. You have a possible high-low scalp here setting up too, high-low scalp V2. I'm not going to take this trade, of course, because this range here, but I'll mark it up for you guys if you guys are looking. So we're getting close to news, guys. I don't think we're going to have any entry for either strategy. It's 654 right now. Once it hits 655, you probably want to skip any entries. So between 655 and 705, you probably want to skip any entries. If you guys were here on the live session yesterday, you'll see that Maddie got caught in a trade where he took the trade, like, I think it was a minute or 2 minutes after the high impact news. And then price just ended up reversing on him and then correcting right back up. So, you gotta learn from your mistakes and make sure not to make those mistakes moving forward. So with that mistake yesterday, you guys can remember that since it happened so recently, and you guys can know to avoid any trades around that time. So we'll see what happens here. All right, so we have a sell signal right here that's currently pending. That means there's no entry here for momentum pullback scalp. It doesn't really matter anyways because we're too close to news. Going back to our clean chart, we'll just stick to the clean chart for right now because there's nothing for us to look at here. We just want to see if price actually pushes away from opening price. And you can see here that price, again, is pulled right back to opening price. Not a good area to trade in. Again, an area to just sit, wait, and you just got to fish for that opportunity. I showed a video to Maddie yesterday too. Maddie, Sisu, a couple of the guys from Umar. There's this, you guys have probably heard of him before. Umar trades. He trades stocks and options. He basically mentioned that, the main problem with a lot of people is that they can't sit and wait when there's no opportunities. And that's kind of what I've been telling you guys over the years. The strategies that we use here, for example, the high-low scalp V2 and the momentum pullback scalp, these strategies work all year round. The only problem is that you have to wait for the opportunities to come to you. When you start to force opportunities and entries when they're not there, that's when you start to make mistakes and you start to lose trades, right? If you just wait and be patient, the entries are going to come. These entries come up every single day. So whether they come up between 6:30 and 8, if you want to trade after the live session time, you can still trade. And I can guarantee that there's a lot of entries that still come up after that time period. It's just the market has not been very smooth here on open. It's been actually smoother pre-market. So you can see over here between like 5:30, I mean, there's news, but if you were to look at price here, so if we were to look back a little bit at 5:30, you can see that there is actually opportunities here that kind of came up, pre-market, and then opportunities that come up after the live session. But eventually, market's going to smooth it out. It's going to stabilize, and it's going to move how it's supposed to during opening price. Because that's just typically how it is. And the most volatility is usually the first 2 hours of the market. We just haven't been having that lately. So let's see, Craig said on the 4-hour chart, you can see a previous high. Price is traded just below it, so could push through the liquidity, push through with liquidity in mind. Yeah, let me take a look at that real quick. So see, Craig mentioned previous high. Show the high low. Yeah, no, I mean, that could be it. It's the same thing that we have here. I mean, so if you're talking about the previous high and the current candle right here, Craig, it's the same thing we're looking at right here. The same high is right here. So it doesn't really matter what time frame you're on. We're still looking at the same high. So that same high is right here. It's the same area where you have the resistance drawn up. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, it's the same thing. It's fine. I only know this because this is a high point within like the last couple hours. Like price hasn't been at this point within the last 4 hours. But typically it's going to be lined up together. So if you go back right here, if you go back like pretty far back, you can see that price has not been at this high within like the last day or so. So that's why I know that the same high that you're mentioning is right here on the clean chart. I mean, on the 1 minute. So same high that you're looking at, and it's at the resistance. So yeah, price could break past that, and that's actually what we're looking for, correct? So we're looking for price to break past it and continue up higher, right? And then when price gets at this area, we can start looking for some buys. So we're looking at the same thing. It's just you're looking on a different time frame. The thing is that I'm so good at looking at the 1 minute time frame that I don't have to go on the higher time frames. Like whatever people see on the higher time frames, I can see exactly the same on the 1 minute, which is beneficial for us because we're able to see the smaller moves within the market, right? So it's good that you're looking on the higher time frame, and then if your analysis lines up with mine, then it's a home run right there. So definitely what we're looking for. But again, price is still ranging within this area here. So until price breaks out of here, there's not really any opportunities for us. I think if you were to trade within this area, you're basically just gambling because price is going to go back and forth between this area. And the problem with that is that if your stop loss is too tight, you're going to get stopped out, right? If you just measure this range right here from this low to this high, it's an 800 pip range, 80.800 pip range. It's pretty far out, right? So unless your stop loss is super far, price can just bounce between this area and stop you out every single time. Here we go with the news candle right here, guys. Big push to the upside. See a little spike right there. We're going to mark up news right there. Yeah, we're getting a heavy climb right here. Let's see the news real quick. So the news was negative, just like we anticipated. I told you guys the news was going to be negative, and it's just manipulation right there. So you see how this candle is getting manipulated? You guys, I'm looking at MT4. MT4 is actually frozen on my end. I don't know if you guys are looking at it right now too, but my MT4 is not even moving. So you might want to be really careful if you guys are looking to take any trades right now, because you might get stuck in a position that's not going to close you out. But yeah, I'm looking at FTMO right now. The MT4 is not moving at all. That's weird. Yeah. Yeah, Craig said right as we thought, pushed up to take liquidity, but it's news, so no go. Yeah, exactly. Daniel said, funny that high impact news candle didn't move the candle, low impact did. Yeah, spiked it. Let's see. Gian said that his MT4 keeps logging him in and out. Yeah, my MT4 is still frozen, guys. I don't even think I'm logged in right now. I don't know how to fix this. All right. So I just updated my server real quick. The candle looks super messy. I'm just gonna change my server. The server's not good. Okay, it's back on. All right. So I'm gonna wait for the market to kind of stabilize a little bit. The news happened right here at 7 o'clock. So I'm gonna wait until like about 7:05 until I start looking for some entries here. Because all of this movement here is based off the news that just was released. All the inflation news right here came out. Um, yeah, it's a lot of manipulation happening, guys. I think price will correct back down and then it'll correct back up. So I think it'll pull back and then it'll come right back up. So it might push up a little bit. You might get a big candle, come down slightly, and then come right back up. Let's see. Craig's sentiment is suggesting sells. I think they're suggesting buys, right? Let me check real quick. So retail sentiment right now is currently 59% short. You know, typically we do the opposite of retail sentiment. So we're actually looking for buys here. It's bullish right now, Craig. So whenever it's bigger on the long side, that's where you look for the opposite for sells. When it's bigger on the sell side, then you're looking for buys. There's more retail traders on the sell side. So we're actually looking for buys right now. That's why it says bullish right here. That's all good. Yeah, Craig said Deborah got confused. They're working at the same time. It's all good. I know you're busy and you're not able to focus on it directly, but you're completely fine, bro. So here goes the candle right here. It's doing exactly what I just said it was going to happen. So I mentioned that price was going to pull back first for correction, and then it's going to come right back up, right? So I've seen this pattern play out a lot of times, guys. Like whenever I see news events like this that come up and you see price go the opposite way, just look for the correction. So right here, you can see this is all negative, right? The high impact news is negative. So price shouldn't have gone up like it did. It pushed up super heavily. Now it's coming back down for the correction. And then the reason why I think price is going to go right back up is because of the sentiment here. And just overall bias in general, right? The fundamentals are up. They're up 200 points. Retail sentiment's bullish. Technicals are bullish. There's no reason for price to be coming down. I think price is going to correct back up. It just has to. That's generally what happens. So yeah, and it's doing exactly what I just said. So price is now correcting back up. So price came up right here at 7 o'clock for the news candle, kind of faked out a bit, came right back down for the correction. And then eventually it's going to climb right back up to where it's supposed to go. But realistically, if you guys look at the clean chart over here, you can see that there's not really much going on, right? It's pretty much just, it's back to where it was. So it's back at baseline, which is the opening price right here. This is all manipulation. Price got manipulated up. And it's just back to where it was. It's like this never happened. If you were to draw a zone right here, like if I was to draw two lines, this is where price is supposed to be, right here in the middle, right? Everything that happens outside of this is all manipulation. So price is where it's supposed to be right now. This is where the actual range is, the consolidation. Anytime price pushes out of it, fakes out, pushes out, fake out, push out, fake out, push out right here, fake out, comes right back in. And we only know this from experience, guys, because if you guys have been trading with me for at least the last 2 weeks, like every morning, you've seen this pattern repeat itself. And that's why it's good that you guys are starting to, well, whoever has been like consistent with me, you guys are able to see this too. You know, I have a really good photogenic memory. So like whenever I look at stuff, like if I see a pattern, like I've seen prices been ranging for the past 2 weeks, I don't forget it. So this is why I'm not trading around this area here, because this is where I took my loss last week. So if you guys look at my spreadsheet, you know, I didn't lose a trade for like 2 months. Like a whole month went by from September 15th up until October 23rd. I didn't go with any losing trade. And then I had that one loss right there on October 23rd. and it said price was ranging at the time of entry. If you pull up the spread, the markup here, you can see this range right here, right? That's why I never go into trades around ranges, because that's the only time I lost it. And I could remember that, okay, if I ever trade within a range, I'm probably going to lose. So I don't want to lose, obviously. So I'm going to avoid any trades within this, this place right here, this area. Yeah, exactly. TC graphic, photographic memory. You know, a lot of these skills that I get, guys, this stuff comes from like what I've done before trading. So if you guys remembered, I was an attorney before I was trading. I had a photographic memory before this, like, because I had to memorize a lot of stuff when I was practicing as an attorney and like throughout law school and stuff. So like a lot of people always ask me if like law school was a total waste. I don't think it was a total waste because it helps me trade better. You know, I treat everything with logic. So if you guys ever look at my strategies, all of my strategies here have logic behind it, right? We have a step-by-step process. So like this is like looking at a law, basically. Like every law has a step-by-step process, and this stuff has really helped me become a better trader because I have photogenic memory, plus I'm able to tie logic with trading, which is I think that's the hardest part with a lot of people too when they learn trading, is that they don't like to use logic. They like to use subjectivity. That's why you'll see a lot of people take speculative trades, right? Like some people will say something like, oh, if this happens, then I might catch like this drop to the downside, right? For me, I need to have a step-by-step process. I'm like, okay, I need the trend, plus I need bias, plus I need all these other confluences, and I need all that stuff to be required before I can take an entry. So it doesn't matter what background you come from, but like a lot of things that you guys learn in the past, you can use that can be applied to trading. You know, discipline, consistency, stuff like that. So just keep that in mind, guys. You know, a lot of stuff that you guys have learned before trading, that stuff can actually be very beneficial to your trading, or it can be detrimental to your trading. Like if you were never able to follow directions before trading, you're probably not going to follow directions when you are trading. And I think that's a big problem for a lot of people. That's why you'll see a lot of people make a lot of profit some days, and then they'll blow their account the next day because they don't have the consistency or the discipline to stick to the game plan. So just a little insight on like trade psychology there. All right, let's see. Vince is asking if a V1 comes up, would you guys take it? 1000% no. So it goes back. So guys, it doesn't matter what strategy you're applying. Price is still in this range, right? I mentioned I'm not taking anything unless it gets out of this range. So I'm definitely not going to take a V1 if it comes up, Vince. And it doesn't matter what strategy you're doing. If you're doing any of the strategies we're doing, or V1s or V2s or anything, it doesn't defeat the difference that price is still in this range, because you can probably get into a you know, a V1 variation. And like I mentioned, you could get lucky, but odds of you taking that trade and it hitting, like with you having the confidence, is probably not going to be very high, right? You only want to take trades when your confidence is high. If you believe in the trade and you think it's going to hit, even if price is ranging, then, you know, go ahead and take it. But if you have to think twice about taking a trade, I wouldn't take it. So I think you would have to like use your intuition as well, Vince. So like whenever you're looking for a trade here and you see your V1 variation and you just know for sure that trade's going to hit, just take the trade. You don't even have to ask me. Just take the trade. Because I think if you think too much about it, that's where you start to get this thing, what we call analysis paralysis, right? You become like a vegetable. You think too much about the trade and then you just don't take it, and then it hits TP, and then you get FOMO, and then you take the next one, and then you lose that trade, right? So yeah, for me personally, I wouldn't take it, Vince, but if you ever feel comfortable taking it, I mean, just take the trade, right? You got to go with your intuition sometimes. But yeah, if you're asking me personally, I probably wouldn't take it because it's still ranging within this area. So one thing that you can do too, Vince, is you can just mark up your TP stop loss, right? So like, for example, if you saw an entry right here, like you probably would survive the trade if you were to take something. Like there's no V1 here, of course, but if you did see one right here, see where the stop loss is down here? It's below the zone. So I think you might be safe to take it if you wanted to take, if you really wanted to take it. So you just got to use different confluences. You know, mark up your entry, and then you look at the zones here and you're like, okay, the zone's pretty far out. So if price comes down even a little bit, it'll probably bounce off the zone and come right back up and hit your TP. So for me personally, I'm very conservative and I don't take trades when prices ranging like this. But if you want to be on the riskier side, feel free. You just got to make sure that you feel confident about it, so you don't feel bad if you win or lose a trade. Let's see. Yeah, Craig said market really not wanting to leave the open price. Yeah, exactly. So you guys can see the range here. It's not really doing anything. It's still ranging within this area. It's been doing this for the past almost hour now, guys. It's 7-11 right now. Once it gets closer to 7:30, we're gonna get an hour mark, and it still has not pushed away from where it needs to go. Yeah, Andrew said this market is ass. I agree. Marina said a bunch of wicks. But I think this is a good thing. So this is a good thing that we're here on this live session. You guys are listening to me, because I could already tell a lot of people are probably like following into trades right here. I can tell a lot of people are probably wanting to squeeze a trade in around this area. But since you guys are here on the live session with me, you guys are able to really see this. Because the thing is, if you don't draw your zones like this and you're just looking at this chart, it looks like you can probably take trades within this area, right? But since I marked it up for you guys and you guys can see it very clearly, it makes sense not to take any trades around this area. That's why I have multiple charts open. I have the clean chart, I have our main chart, I have our high-low scalp chart. There's just nothing here. So I try to make things as digestible as possible. And you can see that this range here has actually been going on for longer. So this range has actually started pre-market around here at 546. So it's actually been in this range for more than an hour. So price actually broke above here. It broke up, fake out, came back up to this area right here. So from 544, basically up until now, 713, it's pretty much been ranging within this area. And it's not a good area to trade in because, depending on where your TP stop loss is, you can get caught in this position here. This range is not even a small range either. It's an 80 point range. So 800 pips back and forth for the most part. Yeah, William said yes, the candle touched New York open again, and retail hasn't moved either. Yeah, so if you look over here at retail sentiment, I don't think it's changed at all. And personally, I wasn't expecting it to change. It changed like 1% right there. It looks like people are starting to try to chase the sell here, but I think price eventually is going to bounce back up. So it changed by 1%, but you can see that there's not very many traders who are getting in and out of the market. They're kind of just sitting there and waiting. Or I think a lot of these people are just trapped in their position. That's kind of what I'm seeing right now, Andrew, because, if you think about it, if these people are entering these trades and they have say 1,000 pip TP, 1,000 pip stop loss, price hasn't broken out of this range in over an hour. So I wouldn't expect it to change very much, since if your stop loss and TP are way that super far up. So for example, say you entered a trade right here, right? In the middle. Just using this as an example, because a lot of people like to use whole numbers as their TP stop loss. If you're holding this position, you'd be stuck in this position for for a very, very long time. Because it just keeps going side to side. And it just keeps wicking between the ranges right there. So I think that's the main reason why it hasn't really changed very much, because people are just trapped in their position. And they're not able to get out. People are probably, whoever got in around the middle, like I mentioned over here, they probably thought, okay, price is going to climb up. And they're like, all right, I'm going to hold on to it. Price comes back down into drawdown. They're like, okay, I'm going to hold on to it until it comes back to break even. And then it just sits down here. And then they're stuck with it. So yeah, there's just not much for us to look at here or use, or there's just nothing here really. Here goes price retest the support again. See what actually breaks and closes below, or if it just bounces off it. Yeah, William said it's Friday. They're either leaving for the weekend or mad they're still in the trade. And us here, we're just pretty much sitting. Yeah. Literally what we're doing right now, we're just sitting and waiting for the market to give us some opportunities here. There's no opportunities. You can see it's back at opening price again. It didn't break and close below it. It just faked out. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes right back up to open. Target price one again is going to be opening price, that blue line. So I don't be surprised if price swings up and goes right back to the opening price. And it did exactly that, right? So same pattern, just repeated process. And there we go, back into the range. This would have been a nice V1 for you, Vince, but it has a buy signal on it, so you can't take it. Yeah, exactly. Daniel said, who's willing to take this V1 high level momentum all in one candle? Definitely not me. Candle's way too big, but it looks like it would have played out or it's about to play out. The V1 pattern right there, double body rejection, reversal pattern. You got the lower low. You got the buy signal right here, breaking, closing past pivots 1 and 2. Intraday scalp as well. It's just too big of a candle for me to mess with, but yeah, that would have been an entry right there if you guys were looking to take it. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. The candle there was just too big. I think that'd be the biggest red flag for me, the size of the candle. Yeah, it's pretty much and full TP right there. So if you took any of the entries, this was like multiple strategies in one. This is like a quadruple confluence entry, right? It was intraday scalp, high-low scalp momentum, V1 variation, ton of entries right there. High-low scalp, it also broke past the thing. It was also a triple confluence. So there was actually a triple confluence right here, guys. So Maria, I know we talked about this during the mentoring session. You see how this entry doesn't come up very often, but when it comes up, it typically hits. So there was a lower high right here. Price broke past it. Pivots were swinging up. Trend meter was green. Basically a triple confluence. Then on top of that, a V1 pattern. So Patricia actually caught it. Kudos to you, Patricia, for actually taking that risky move there. She took it because of the triple confluence. So she took that trade there, full TP. I personally wouldn't have taken it, but yeah, nice work on catching that, Patricia. See, Patricia's been here for a while, so she trusts the strategy. She knows how it works. She understands how it works. She knows, the movements. And it played out perfectly for her. So nice work right there, Patricia, on catching that. Looks like we might be having finally some opportunities here coming up. Let's see. So we have a high-low scalp V2 that is possibly setting up right here. We have this candle breaking close past it. If we get the fake out below and the continuation back up, that could be a high-low scalp V2. We also may have a momentum pullback scalp setting up right here as well. If anybody is looking to take that there. Looks like it might be a little lower. I think price is overextended right here, so I'm probably not going to take this trade here, guys. It might come back down a little bit because this is such a huge candle. But if you guys are looking to take it, be here at this level right here at 34,110. So if you guys are looking to take that momentum pullback scalp, it's going to be at that level. I'll see if it pulls back up, and I'll probably catch it for a later entry. See if I get in here if it swings back up. If not, I'll just wait. Probably not going to get into it because, like I mentioned, this price, it just pushed up too heavily. So it's probably have to retrace down a little bit before it swings up. So we'll see. I'll watch it though. So yeah, I'd probably wait for it to swing back up. Maybe have like a buy stop waiting right there. So I'll keep watching it, see if it plays through. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Just cancel the order. So I think you're in a better opportunity if you just wait for it to pull back like this, because if it does like slingshot right back up, it'll fill your order and then just go straight right up to hit your TP. So let's see. If it closes with a sell signal though, then for sure you got to pull out, and that's pretty much done with. You pull out for like a partial loss, I guess. If you know, if that becomes the case there. But if it doesn't close at the sell signal, I can easily swing right back up. It's got like 20 seconds left on this candle. Did the high-low scalp V2 come up already? So again, there's another opportunity right here actually too. It swings back up. So there goes a high-low scalp V2, guys. If you guys are looking to take it, the volume's actually really low right now. So you probably want to go for 200 pips instead of the full 300, but I'll mark it up anyways, just so that you guys have the full move there. Again, I'm going to hold off on this right now, guys, because it's just like I mentioned, price is overextended, and I'm waiting for it to pretty much even out before I look for any opportunities here. So whenever you get a big climb like that, it's usually a sign to maybe chill out for a little bit and like basically wait for the market to kind of stabilize down a bit. So, all right, so there's two entries right here that are currently running. I've marked it up at the 10 mark and the 20 mark right here. If you guys want to pull out early, if it gets to that point, the only reason I do that is because the volatility is very low right now. It's currently at 20 ATR. 20 ATR, you typically want to like keep it around that area, your TP. Because it's getting lower right now. It's now down to 19. So you can see how it just keeps getting lower and lower. It's not a good area to trade in when the ATR is too low. 15 is like the lowest that we'll go for. But during fall season, it should be around like 25 to 30 around there. So that's why I marked up these two levels here. So there's technically two entries that are currently running right now. There is the momentum pullback scalp over here. I'm not in any of these positions, though. I'm just kind of watching them as they play through. I had a pending order that I was going to put right here, but again, you know, as I mentioned, I was just waiting for this here to kind of stabilize a bit. And then now that I look at the ATR, it's not really looking so great. So two entries that are currently running. Yeah, Patricia said she doesn't like the flickering symbol. I agree with you. It doesn't look good because it's been flickering since like this green candle right here, right? For the past three candles, it's been flickering green, red. So it's a sign that price is attempting to swing down, but it might not have enough push to really get down that far. So it might just swing back up, but there's no telling, you know, when that's going to happen. So right here, it's starting to fling back up, as I mentioned. And we'll see here if it swings any higher. So there, you know, I think eventually it's going to swing back up. Like I mentioned, I think price is going to correct to the upside. I just don't know when it's going to happen because let's see the retail sentiment real quick. Retail sentiment still at 60. Let's take a look at the fundamentals. They're still bullish. Currently up 200 points. Let's take a look at the short term. Short term is currently bullish. Long term is currently bullish. So I do see a correction happening. I just don't know when it'll happen, right? Because it's just where price is currently at right now. It's still in the range. So just keep that in mind, guys. Another reminder is that price is still within this range right here. So, I mean, this can really go in either direction. It can come down to opening price, or it can swing back up and attempt to retest the resistance up there. But eventually, I do expect price to break out of it and continue up higher. But as we talked about earlier with me and Craig, you know, we're waiting for price to break out of this resistance over here. Break out of it and continue up higher. So again, you know, it's a bit of a waiting game as we kind of wait for this here to play through. So they're both still running, guys. They're both still running. And we're still just watching it for the most part. I don't know if anybody's in the position. I'm just watching it right now. Kind of tempted to get in, but I just don't have that confidence yet with the entry. So you can see over here, it's not really like if I was to see price push up past this area, then I would maybe get in like somewhere right here, even if I had to get in a little late. I'd get in a little later and then just let that continue to ride up higher. But since price is in this range right here, I don't like this area because it's currently, it might go back to opening price like it's been doing here, fake out, come back to opening, fake out, come back to opening, etc. Again, it's just not a good area in general. And like what Patricia said earlier, the flickering sell signal is kind of what throws me off too. So I don't think any of these really played out, did they? No, they didn't. So I'll mark this up to put this in the spreadsheet, but I didn't take this trade, obviously, so it's not going to count as an official entry. Hopefully you guys both, hopefully nobody here took the trade. I kind of gave as much warning as I could that I wasn't going to take any of these entries here, mainly because of this big candle. So this big candle right here was the main thing that I was kind of more so worried about, because you can see how it pushed up. I said price was going to correct back down, and then eventually it's going to come right back up, right? So now that price is actually corrected back down, you can see that I wouldn't be surprised if this here starts to climb all the way back up and go straight to the upside. So whenever you guys see a big move like this, you probably want to hold off because it's probably going to fill the candle or fill the gap, whatever you guys want to call it. And then it usually corrects. But price is starting to dump here super heavily. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this in the spreadsheet real quick as a loss. Not an official trade, but we're going to put it in the spreadsheet so that we understand, when and where the trade came up. That trade did run for a very long time though. So another thing there to keep in mind. I'm just going to round it up to 22. It was for a buy. It's for a loss, -300. -1. Let's see, price initially had a heavy climb up. Then hard retracement down to fill the gap. All right, so just looking at the data over here that we have for the high-low scalp V2, it wasn't very smooth this week either. 2 wins and 2 losses for this week so far for the high-low scalp V2. For me, I didn't really take any trade this week. I only took one trade, I think. I took the trade on Thursday yesterday. Just one trade, or I took 2 trades actually. So I took one trade on Wednesday and I took one trade on Thursday, momentum pullback scalp, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, we've been pretty much just sitting tight because price has been within this range for, some time now. So price actually finally broke out of the range down below. Let me take this off real quick. So price actually broke out of the range over here. So I'm hoping maybe I can grab one trade here, but we'll see. Now we'll see if this ends up holding, because it's now below this range. We'll see if it ends up faking out right here. Because there's one of 2 things that will happen here. Price will either fake out where it's currently at, pull back into the range, and stay within this area, right? That's one thing. Or number 2 is price can come right here, retest, and continue dropping. So, the market's pretty much doing exactly what we talked about on Monday and last week. So if you guys talked to me on Monday, or it basically happened between a lot of people who talked to me privately. Like me and Maddie talked about this on Monday. We mentioned there's going to be a lot of fake outs this week, and a lot of people are going to be blowing accounts, right? People who aren't following the game plan. Whenever price is in a range like this, we've just pretty much been chilling all week. Like I haven't taken any trades today. I took one trade yesterday, took one trade on Wednesday. But other than that, market's been ranging on Monday, range on Tuesday. It's ranging today again. And this range has been stuck within this area for, I don't know, over an hour now. So, like we discussed earlier this week, Maddie, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are getting caught in these fake outs and these traps, and they're just getting messed up. So yeah, I'd rather be safe than sorry, especially in a market like this, because it's just not a good market to, for one, to be taking unnecessary risk, and then for 2, to be kind of getting into trades that are a bit of a toss-up. Like right now, I think this right here, if you were to trade down here, like I could see a lot of people either getting faked out right here. Yeah, I know some people who saw this break and close past structure, they're either looking for a buy, they're looking for a sell, right? Because this right here will indicate that, okay, price is either going to come down. So some people will probably take a sell right here when price broke and closed past it. And where do people typically place their stop loss, right? right at the zone. So I wouldn't be surprised if this fakes out, stops people out, and then comes back down. Or it can fake out and continue back to opening price right here. So you just got to be smart about your moves today, guys. Or not just today, but this week in general. This week in general is not the it's not really the week to be making a lot of, or to be taking a lot of unnecessary risk. You either want to lower your lot size or just don't trade at all. So I've been sitting on my hands pretty much all day today. Another reason why I've kind of been sitting on my hands this week is because MT4 has been having issues. So if you guys remembered yesterday, I wasn't even able to take that trade for the momentum pullback scalp. We marked it up. I tried to enter the trade and my MT4 is kind of screwed up. It didn't execute the trade for me. So there's just a lot of things going on. Not necessarily in the trading world, but in general. MT4 has been acting kind of funky this week. It was acting funky last week too. And then, you know, obviously this range that we've been stuck in. So let's see, it looks like Vince caught the V1 right here. Nice work, Vince. Yeah, so Vince right here caught the V1. There was a double body rejection right here, pending buy signal. Straight to full TP right there. You know, I think for the V1, you can probably adjust your TP stop loss to like 1025 as well, or even 1020. Or even 1010 in some instances, because usually these trades hit like right away. So if you even if you have it at 1010, you know for sure if you hit your trade or not. I think it'd probably be better that way because you'll know exactly if it hits or not. But you got to be quick in following it, so you don't have a negative risk to reward. Yeah, typically when these V1s hit, they usually hit like immediately. So again, right here, there's another V1 that Vince was talking about or that we're looking at. Usually hits right away. So if you want to be super safe, you can probably use a 10-10. The only problem is if your spread's kind of too wide, you might get caught in the spread. So something to keep in mind. All right, so other than that, guys, I don't really have much here to look at. I mean, I'm going to keep looking for any possible opportunities here, but you can see prices now faking out. So I can see a lot of people got stopped out of this position here. Whoever was trying to chase the break and close past structure, because a lot of people like to trade this way, and this is like one of the most used strategies that I've seen a lot of people use. They like to look for that break and retest of structure. So they look to enter trade the trade right here. They'll put their stop loss at the zone, and they'll try to go for like a 2-to-1, right, or a 3-to-1. Break and retest pattern right there. Price broken close past structure, retested, and then fake out right here. It did exactly what I just mentioned earlier. So I mentioned people are probably going to enter a trade here. It'll probably push up, stop them out, and then come right back down, right? And that's exactly what happened here. So just be careful if you guys are looking to take these trades here. These traps are getting set up. And I don't even think price is going to drop here. I think price might even just fake out right back up. Let's see, William said, so Sean, for me, the V1s, he usually uses a 25-10, just like suggested. Yeah, no, I agree with you too, William. The only problem is that when the market's very volatile, it's not going to work well, right? Because right now the market is volatile, but it's not very volatile. It's fucking market's making me yawn. It's a lot less volatile than we were expecting. So typically that V1 was created like when the volatility was high earlier in the year. That's why I use a 1030 because ATR was just a lot higher. It's currently at 18 right now, so it's not very high. It's actually pretty low. Yeah, Vince said I've been journaling the V1s and usually it hits whatever the ATR is too. Yeah, exactly, Vince. We've been using the V1 before we started using the ATR. So I think the ATR is good to identify what the stop loss should be. I think the TP at 100 is always going to be a sweet spot. The 100 pips is usually going to be, it's going to get hit no matter what. It's just your stop loss is what really matters, right? So yeah, we didn't really use the ATR for TP stop loss. It was or for both. It was mainly just for stop loss to identify, what the range should be. So your stop loss can be a little bit tighter. But yeah, no, I agree with that, Vince. It works in pretty much all markets as long as there's a strong bias, and then on top of that, it just works. I mean, that's why I like all of my data that I've tested over the years. It's always been at 100 pip TP because 100 pip TP typically will get hit no matter what the strategy is. All right, let's see if there's any other entries here. We still don't have a sell signal. So until we get a sell signal here, we're not going to be able to find any momentum pullback scalps. I'm going to see if I can maybe at least grab one entry for today. I mean, again, I don't want to force anything, but I'm hoping that we can grab at least one official entry today because the market hasn't been great this week, and it's expected for NFP. NFP is usually going to be a toss-up, so not really a big deal here. Let's see what I'm missing. All right, Song, we'll see you back here on Monday. So Song's done for the week. Yeah, probably a good decision. If you guys don't have to trade, I mean, I don't have to trade either. So if I don't see anything here in the next, like, say 10 minutes or so, I'm probably gonna wrap it up as well, guys. Today's Friday, it's NFP. You guys can see from the market, it's not really doing much. The worst case scenario here is price pulls right back into the range. If price pulls right back into the range, then I'm definitely going to be done for the day. That's the fake out that I'm looking for right there. Right. Looks like I just faked out a bunch of people right now again. So, I'm sure once people saw price break structure right here, they started to try and chase this. Obviously, that's usually what happens, right? People see price break structure. They put their stop loss right there. You try to go for like a 3-to-1. And what happens? They get burned super heavily right there. So yeah, price pulls back into this range up here, guys, and I'm for sure going to be done because there's no point in trading. If you guys can see, it's just faking out. It comes down a little bit, fakes out, and then it pulls right back into the range over here. And there's just, I mean, it's not going to do anything. It's going to do the same thing it's been doing. It's going to keep ranging around this area, then come back up here, maybe fake out again, come back down, fake out until it actually has a direction. But I'm not expecting that to happen from now until 8 o'clock. So you can see right here, price is pulling right back into the range. It was just a huge fake out, like we anticipated. It's a frustrating market. It's not a good market to trade in, and I think it's better to just not trade than to try to force something within this area. I'm gonna draw some more structure over here because we have some more zones. But realistically, these lower zones don't even matter because this is the real range right here. So if you were to just ignore everything else, you can see that this here is the real range, right? It's been ranging here since 540. So for the past 2 hours, it's been in this range. You'll see areas where price fakes out, but it pulls right back into the range. So you guys can see over here, price attempted to come up top, faked out, came back down. Price came below, faked out right here, came back up, faked out right here, came back down, faked out right there, came back up, fake out, came back below. And this is like where the worst fake out probably happened. Huge fake out right here. All this mess, and it pulled right back into the range. So, all right, guys, if there's any questions that you guys have, feel free to put them in the chat. I think I'm not going to take any trades today. It did exactly what I was not wanting to happen. It pulled back into this range. So instead of me getting caught in these fake outs and maybe getting, stuck in a position or so, I'm just not going to trade today. So if there's any questions that you guys have, feel free to put them in the chat. This is not the best market to trade in. I don't even think this is a decent market to trade in because it doesn't really matter which direction you trade. If you take a sell here, you might get caught in another fake out. So say, for example, you take a sell here. When price breaks past it again, your stop loss is maybe somewhere around there. Price might come down a little bit and then pull right back in. range, stop you out, right? Vice versa, price pushes up and does the same thing here, right? You can do the same thing here. Take a buy, stop loss right there. And it could do the same exact thing to you up here. Push up a little bit, make you a little excited, comes back down, pulls back below, stops you out, and goes right back up, and then pisses you off, right? And then you're gonna go into this weekend all mad because you took a trade that basically just faked you out. So yeah, guys, if there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. This is probably one of the worst trading weeks we've had in a while, at least last week. Or let's check the trading spreadsheet again. So at least last week wasn't good either. It was decent. Like we had 4 trades last week, 3 wins, 1 loss. It was the same thing. It was a ranging market, just like this week. This week we had 2 trades, and it's the same situation. We had the same market conditions, except this week was a lot worse. The ranging was a lot more obvious this week compared to last week. For last week, you can see these entries here. So price ranged for a little bit, for maybe 10 minutes, and then it broke out, right? Like these are the wins that we took from last week. Yeah, you can see here, price ranged for a little bit, and then it broke out. The problem with this week is, let's go back to our entry from Wednesday. Prices have been ranging pretty much all day. It's in a big range, small range, finally broke out a little bit. And then even yesterday's entry too. Yeah, you can see how price was in a range pretty much for a good hour, broke out, and then we took this trade within the range here, but we got lucky and it still hit TP. So yeah, not a good week at all. It's unfortunate. Again, guys, I wouldn't recommend chasing this right here. You can see price is kind of down below. I think this here might just fake out again. I draw another structure at this point. Another structure right here. I would be careful because I think price is just this is now the new range. So price pulled up here, pulled down here. Now it's kind of ranging within this area. And you can see how the fake outs they just repeat themselves. So now that we have a new range right here, it's just another fake out just outside the range. So yeah. Hey, Brock, how's it going? Brock's a good day team. Him here as a full trader, not employed to anyone for any penny. Nice, Brock. So you finally left your job, it looks like. Trading full time with us here. Yeah, no, it's good to see you back here, Brock. I haven't seen you here in a while. But let's see if there's any profits for today. If you guys have any profits to post up, feel free to send them in. Looks like there was a couple people here who posted profits for the day. We have Kenny over here, total profit of 1,940 for the day, all wins. Nice work right there, Kenny. We got Vince here, total profit of 185. Nice work on that V1 variation. You got Johnny over here. Johnny took a hit off the high-low V2. His 1 trade for the day, took a loss. It's all good, it happens. Yeah, so Johnny over here said that he just want to be transparent. Of course, that's a good thing. Now he's going to review the trade and get better on the next day. So this is really key, guys. You see a lot of people here post wins all the times, but losses do happen. So if you guys ever have a loss, it doesn't really matter if it's a win or a loss. I'd always recommend using my spreadsheet. Just pull up my spreadsheet, put in your data here, and then put a note from what happened on that trade. Was price ranging? Was it a fake out? Was it a huge spike or whatever? For example, I put a note over here as well. Price initially had a heavy climb up, then it had a hard retracement down to fill the gaps of stop loss. So this is going to help. So in the future, if you ever see a big push to the upside, you'll know exactly to avoid the trade because it might pull back. And if it does pull back, it's probably going to pull back enough to fill that gap, which is what happened with this trade here. If you look at the trade here, see, I take a screenshot of everything. So price pushed up here super heavily, then it came back down to fill the gap. And that's exactly what happened. So in the future, whenever you see a big move like that, it's probably best to just hold off and wait before taking any entries because you might get caught in, nasty move or fake out. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for today. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up. If you guys don't have to trade, which I don't think anybody here has to trade again, like I mentioned before, just hang it up for the week, come back next week fresh. and hopefully it'll move a lot smoother. I believe next week should be a lot smoother. Let's check the calendar real quick. Next week. So yeah, next week we don't really have much news until Thursday. So it's pretty much clear up until Thursday, where we have initial jobless claims. And then from there, we have consumer sentiment on Friday. That's pretty much it. So I think next week will be a lot smoother. Hopefully it moves a lot more directional. We just need something to really push the market, but right now it's just not doing that. So I'd recommend to just call it a day and then come back next week fresh, because there's no need to force anything here. You can see price is still within the range. It's probably going to continue faking out. And the last thing you want to do is take a loss after the live session and be mad all weekend, right? So just enjoy your weekend, come back refreshed and ready to hit the markets on Monday. And we'll come back and hopefully this will be moving a lot smoother. So, all right, guys, other than that, have a great weekend, be safe, and I'll see you guys back here